Hiya, I hope you're keeping well. Today I'm going to go through some ideas for really fresh, glowing, barely there skin that still has a fair bit of coverage to it. Donna, you asked me the other day about could I use a tinted moisturiser instead of a foundation because you wanted something really fresh and really light coverage. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to start by prepping my skin. I've gone in with the Kiehl's Hydro Plumping Serum. This is a gel kind of texture, but it's really hydrating. And so because it's so kind of thin, but very much gonna help to, ease any dry patches in the skin. It's perfect for under a tinted moisturiser because the whole point of this kind of look is that I don't want it to look or feel heavy. Now, one thing I want to show you, I've pulled my Mercier tinted moisturiser. If you want something really fresh, natural, does a nice little polish, I love this. However, mine is a bit too dark because I've pulled it out of my kit. And how many times have you been there that you've bought, a tinted moisturiser, a foundation, whatever it is, and it's too dark? But what I always do with that is find something lighter, mix them together, and then just still get your use out of it. So I've got a tiny little sample of the It's CC cream in Fair, and I'm just going to mix the two on the back of my hand. If that's you and you've accidentally bought something in the wrong shade, obviously the shops are closed at the moment. I'm going to mix this, by the way, just with a little pencil and clean that afterwards. When the shops are open again, just feel free to pop to wherever you got your product from. Lots and lots of counters do samples and say, look, I bought this, it's a bit too dark or it's a bit too light. Could I just have a sample of the next shade up or down, whatever you need? And then you get your use out of it and it's not a complete waste. So I'm going to take this using my hands. One of the things I'd also say to you is have a real play with your makeup and see which products work best with hands and which work best with a brush. The likes of the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturiser really is great with your hands. It's very moisturising and light in texture, but also because it's so kind of sheer and soft, you'd run the risk of a brush actually running away with it rather than getting that absolute nice wash of it on your skin. Now you'll notice that this is a really sheer formula, even with the CC cream built into it. This isn't really designed to give you coverage, it's more of that luminous glow. So what I'm gonna do, once I'm happy, I've got a little bit of this everywhere, I'm gonna then use a separate concealer just in the areas where I need it. So I'll wipe the excess off the back of my hand. You saw how much I used there, it was barely anything. And I'm gonna take some really full coverage concealer. This is the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Illumination on the back of my hand. And I'm just going to warm it up first with a nice domed brush. Stepped on this one a few years ago, but it's still one of my favourites. And I'm just going to press the extra coverage, first of all, onto those areas that I know the redness comes through. But also I'm going to just do a little courtesy sweep around the nose because that's somewhere that is prone to redness on a lot of people. I'm going to take a little bit around my eyes. I noticed a little patch of redness this morning above one of my eyebrows. I'm going to make sure I've tended to business up there. And really just pick out, not only at first glance, any areas that feel a bit red, but also your own face. Where does your makeup disappear halfway through the day? Where is it looking fine now, but it's going to be carnage come 6 o'clock and you've had your first glass of wine? Just go from memory and apply this wherever you need. Someone said to me the other day, actually, it's such a good point. I'm going to do a tiny bit above that lip. She said, you never take any product across there. Is there a reason for that? And it's just that I don't want it to cling to any little hairs there. That's the only reason. No. See how you've then got kind of the best of the tinted moisturiser, but I've secretly buffed in little bits of coverage. There we go. Now I want to keep this whole look really fresh Another key, I would say, with working with anything nice and soft is powder in the right place is going to make a huge difference. Let me just see, I'm going to actually just take the rest of what was on that brush across my eyes, just the excess. I always use tanning drops on my face, you see, and I don't go near my eyes, so they can sometimes look quite white and everything else is a bit of a different colour. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Nude Sticks bronzer and just add a bit of bronze where the sun would naturally hit. I'm not going too heavy at all. Again, I'm softening this out with a really fluffy brush. I know it looks like I'm contouring, but I really am just kind of warming up little dedicated areas. And I'm going to use a cream highlighter also to just keep all of this feeling nice and glowy. Now, someone said to me the other day, let me double check, I think it was Catherine, I've got little notes here so I remember. I'm loving any bits and pieces in the comments to just give me an idea of what to do a video on, so please do keep them coming. But Catherine, you'd asked me about Bare Minerals. I've not really mentioned Bare Minerals. Have I got any favourites? These Bounce and Blur blushes I think are absolutely lovely. This is another great example of a product I'm going to show you actually. I had a little play with a few of these things this morning and I tried to pick this up with a brush and like nothing happens. I mean, a tiny thing has happened there to be fair, but not a huge like noticeable thing happens. Whereas if I go in with 2 fingers and just pat that on, you get this beautiful wash of colour right away. So another great example of just having a little experiment with your techniques to see which route will bring you the best finished look. I'm going to go right the way in there with that because I love that fresh coral. I really have gone to town on that. Maybe I'm going to eat my words and take that down a bit. The next thing I'm going to go in with is a little bit of MAC cream colour base in Hush. I was talking about this the other day and this is by far one of my favourite illuminators in that it gives quite a peachy flush that just looks like a naturally flushed skin on my skin tone. But the cream colour bases come in loads of different colours. So you can find an equivalent version of a slightly warmer, peachier equivalent of your own skin tone and work away with this. It's just a lovely creamy highlighter. Now, I'm really liking that so far. Just to make sure that I'm not verging into kind of sweaty territory, I'm going to take a small brush and a really mattifying primer. This is the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Original. And I just want to show you, see how you can see like texture in the forehead and things? I really just want to really kind of turn the volume down on that, but keep the rest nice and fresh. And like say around this nose, I've put the highlighter there now, the cream colour base. So I'm still going to have a nice luminous finish, but I can kind of take down this absolute like shiny as anything finish. And so just balancing the little moments of where you've got something matte and where you've got something luminous. Like from the sides, you can still see all of that glow, but forward on, it's a little bit more manageable. Now, keeping in with the kind of creamy feel, I'm going to go in with the Trish McAvoy Natural Brunette, what's it called? The Brow Perfector. I've used the clear one of these a lot. I think it's really great. It's just kind of, it's almost like a wax in a stick, and it gives you that lovely brushed up kind of brow finish. Because it's so waxy, it almost presses the hairs flat against the skin, so that once you've, you know, achieved the finish that you want, they're not going to move or go anywhere. But what I am going to do with this, because this is a tinted kind of wax, is I'm going to brush it through afterwards with a little spoolie. So just making sure I've got a nice amount of product on there. And this is a little pencil from the end of a different brow product actually. But I'm just gonna let that do its job, but brush it into place. There we go. I think I need a little bit. That's the great thing about brushing them through as well. You can identify the gaps. Put a little bit through there. Just make sure that feels nice and even. There we go. Now, one thing I haven't done yet that I'm going to do before I do my mascara, in this kind of makeup where I've used loads of creams and it's like creamy, I'm going to make sure I've really set my eyes, especially those brow bones where I've got the cream colour base. This powder is completely invisible, but it's gonna absorb any moisture and set everything into place. And the thing is, if I'd left those wet and then gone in with my moisturiser, my mascara, the risk is that it's gonna print and press, and I don't want that. Now, back to my notes. Life's little likes. I couldn't see your name on your profile, I'm sorry. You'd asked me to go into tubing moisturisers. What is wrong with me? Tubing mascaras. I'm losing the plot this morning. The new Hourglass Unlocked mascara is an example of a tubing mascara. There are lots of different tubing mascaras on the market. I'm going to quickly curl my lashes. And basically, tubing mascara is a kind of different technology to your average mascara because it coats the lashes in this, coating of black in the same way as a normal mascara. But it's almost like a little coating that crumbles away. So rather than smudging, or especially rather than leaving imprints above and below your lashes, if that always happens to you, this, because it's coating the lashes in something that's going to crumble off, isn't going to do that. And also a huge advantage of tubing mascaras is they will just come off with a bit of warm water. You don't need to use a dedicated eye makeup remover. They are really, really easily removed. Now, some people, because they crumble off in these little bits, some people that's the worst nightmare. But if you're particularly sensitive, or you're someone that doesn't want a huge faff at the end of the day taking your makeup off and you want it to be as quick as possible, definitely look into these. It's a great option. This Hourglass one is one that I happen to have to hand. Clinique do a fantastic tubing mascara. Trish McAvoy has her volume mascara. But by all means, if you just Google it, you'll find all of the options that you can have a little look at and see which brand feels right for you. Okay. Now, nice and fresh. To finish, I'm trying to look and see which lipsticks I've packed. Oh, I've packed myself a nice bright red today, so just gonna tap away any little spills from this. I'm going in with a nice bright red to give a nice contrast to the fact that everything else is so fresh. So this is MAC Liner in Cherry. And I'm gonna line the top lips as well. Gone a bit overboard there, but who cares? And then I'm going to go in with a nice kind of orange red. This is from Pat McGrath. It's the Elson 2. And there we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've picked up some kind of fresh skin tips. I'm having a little look to see if I have forgotten anything. I think we're okay. But please keep the ideas coming. I love having a bit of a brief because I just feel like we've all got so much to take in, especially this week. It's just so easy if someone says, I want to see a green eye or whatever. But I hope you found that helpful, and have a nice weekend, and I'll be talking to you soon.